It's quite a while before he got some help, like, what, quarter of a mile, eighth of a mile away. Guy next door.
Was that in front of
Well, he went there, Daryl.
Yeah.
How he got there, I don't know. I guess.
him?
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. A regular meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors is called to order. Due to issues arising from COVID-19, the board is using a WebEx teleconferencing format for today's meeting and may be participating via the World Wide Web. If you would like to make a public comment through the teleconferencing format today, please make sure that you are identified by name in the WebEx system. For those interested in commenting during unscheduled appearances at 9 a.m., please use the raise your hand feature and wait to be recognized. You will be allowed up to 2 minutes for public comment. Members in the audience who have filled out speaker cards will be taken in the order that they were received by the clerk, and online speakers will be taken in the order that they appear in the WebEx program, showing that their hand is up. If you wish to speak today and are having issues with the raise your hand feature in WebEx, please physically raise your hand so that we may see you and wait to be recognized. Each vote today will be a verbal or voice vote so that members of the public can hear how each board member has voted. After we have had a motion and a second regarding each item we are taking up today, there will be a roll call vote by district. The first order of business is roll call by district. Joe Neves.
Here.
Richard Valley.
Here.
Doug Verboon.
Here.
Craig Peterson. Richard Fagundes.
Here.
At this time, I would like to invite everyone to stand and join the Board of Supervisors during the invocation by Edward Hill, County Administrative Officer, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everyone. Please bow your head in prayer. Dear Lord, we would like to thank you for the recent water and snowpack that we've had in the mountains, and we pray that you provide us more. We also pray for a new and prosperous new year. We also pray that you bring a resolution to COVID sometime soon. We also pray for our men and women in services and to all those who serve on the front line. In the Lord's name we pray. Amen.
Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next order of business is the reorganization of the Board of Supervisors to elect the chairman and vice chairman for 2022. At this time, I declare the office of chairman vacant and call for nominations.
Nominate Supervisor Neves for chairman.
I'd second that motion, Madam Clerk, and also call for nominations to be closed.
Does that say? I see that there are no other nominations and that the nominations have been closed. Roll call vote is Joe Neves,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Chairman Neves. Congratulations.
Good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is to declare the office of Vice Chair vacant and call for nominations.
Mr. Chair, if you recall last year, Supervisor Richard Fagundes was very humble about him and his district's rotation for the vice chairmanship, and I'd hope that he'd accept the nomination to become the vice chairman for this year. So I'd like to nominate him and move to close nominations.
Second.
Take it.
Did you understand all that?
I got my hearing aid up.
Yeah.
Take some time.
It'll take some time.
Yes.
The item's been moved by Supervisor Valley, seconded by Supervisor Baboon. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Joe Neves,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
All right.
A little bit of a delay there. What's going on there? Huh?
Still thinking about it.
Still thinking?
Yeah.
Think faster.
Takes time at my age.
Yeah.
Congrats, Mr. Vice Chair.
Good. Thank you very much. I too want to congratulate Supervisor Peterson on a very challenging 2021. with the drought and the pandemic and changing staff and changing environment. You did a great job and certainly want to thank you for your time and commitment. Appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you.
With that, we will move on to unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of this board. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes.
I do not have any speaker cards, but Marie Waite is online with her hand raised.
Good morning, Chairman Nez and members of the board. Marie Waite, Child Support Services Director. The Child Support Services team would like to acknowledge all that contributed to the successful slipper sock drive. On December 22nd, the department delivered 312 slipper socks to 5 nursing homes in Kings County. Thank you to all that participated for the successful event. I also want to acknowledge an internal promotion of Dory McCarty. Dory's been with Child Support Services since 1998 and has accepted the opportunity to step into the program manager role effective Monday, January 10th. We're thrilled to have her promote from our supervisory team to the management team. And lastly, I want to acknowledge my executive secretary, Danielle Leap. She has been a reliable resource during my 2-year tenure. One of my annual questions I ask my staff is, where do you want to be in 2 years and 5 years? Danielle desired to use her skills and abilities further at Human Resources. She has accomplished this goal and has accepted a promotional position as a personnel technician. Her leaving is a loss to Child Support Services and a great gain for Henny and the HR team. I wish her the very best in furthering her career. Thank you.
Good, thank you, and happy 2022. Madam Clerk, you have any other record of any other unscheduled appearances?
That's all that I'm aware of.
Thank you, very good. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, and that's a report out of the closed session of the special meeting on December 20th, as well as the regular meeting on December 21st. And Mr. Hill, do you have that report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your board took no reportable actions on either the special meeting on December 20th or the regular meeting on December 21st.
Good, appreciate that. Thank you very much. The next item is approval of the minutes from the special meeting held December 20th. Has members had a chance?
Second.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Fagundes. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that item stand approved, 5 in favor. Next item is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of December 21st, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented for December.
Second.
Second.
Actually heard Peterson.
Online. Okay. Moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that minutes stand approved unanimous by members present. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar, and under the consent calendar this morning, we only have one item from the Veteran Services Office, and if members had a chance to review that item.
Motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Valley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show the consent calendar stand approved unanimous by members present. Thank you very much. Next item is the first regular agenda item of the year and comes from Human Resources regarding heavy equipment operator and Carol. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Carolyn Least. I can't put my mask down.
Yes, please. You sound muffled. I sound hairy and you sound muffled, so we just can't get along.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board, Carolyn Least, Principal Personnel Analyst with Human Resources. Human Resources had a reopener with the Fire Association on the MOU contract to discuss the the heavy fire equipment operator classification. The job duties and compensation were reviewed. Based on this review, it was recommended to modify the position into a 1-2 series. This classification series will continue to operate heavy motorized equipment in fire control and prevention work and perform repair and maintenance on heavy equipment. However, this position will no longer be assigned to respond to fire, medical, and other emergency response calls, and will not be designated and assigned to relieve other firefighters and/or fire apparatus engineers. The experience level classification in the series would carry out the duties with an increased amount of independence of judgment and duties performed. Additionally, the heavy fire equipment operator 2s may supervise lower level classifications and may make critical decisions about firefighting tactics or strategy and provide valuable input to the incident commanders about tactical objectives, access to wildland areas, and potential fire control locations, along with providing a continuous risk assessment. The heavy fire equipment operator 1-2 would be a new classification series in the fire department. The cost for the series for the remainder of the fiscal year is approximately $8,269 for salary and benefits for the flexible promotion only for the incumbent who qualifies at the 2 level. The funding would be covered by the DOZER program. It is important to note that the changes to the job specification would impact the current MOU. HR and Fire Association did meet in good faith, and if approved, a side letter will be posted immediately. The recommendation is to approve the revised job specification for a new classification series of heavy fire equipment operator 1-2. Set the salary for the heavy fire equipment operator 1 at range 206.0, and set the salary for heavy fire equipment operator 2 at range 216.0. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Carolyn. Questions or comments? We also have Kings County Fire Chief Bill Lynch in the audience today. If you have any questions, I'm sure he'll would be able to address those as well.
There's no question or comments. I'll move as presented. Items A, B, and C.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Baboon, seconded by Valley. Any additional discussion or clarification? Is there a hand up or did I? What's the hand up has been there?
Is that new?
Something new? Okay. Was it regarding this item? Do they have the hand up regarding this item or?
You can chat with her.
Yeah, just chat and see, make sure their comments are not, or if there's some kind of a. No response? Oh, public comment? Oh, okay. So, but it's not on the heavy equipment? Okay, very good. Are there any other questions or comments then? The item's been moved by Baboon, seconded by Valley. If there are no other questions or comments, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Thank you.
The item stands approved. Thank you very much. Did she want to address a human resources item or something else?
Mr. Chair, I saw her comments on online. It was about public comment. So it's, your prerogative.
Oh, just something else?
It was
Okay.
on, yeah, she wanted to make comment. At least she posted that online, public comment.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Is she unmuted?
Good
Okay,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning, Claire Fidiasi. I'm requesting that the WebEx link be posted on the agenda as it has been done previously, just to make it easier for people to participate rather than only be able to watch on the YouTube link. Thank you.
Yeah, duly noted. Thank you very much. We'll add that to the link in the future. The second item also comes from Human Resources, and that's considering the salary resolution as well as an animal shelter tech. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Melissa Avalos, Personnel Analyst with Human Resources. I'm here today regarding the salary resolution updates and the minimum wage impacts. Periodically, the salary resolution is updated to reflect negotiated memorandum of understanding agreements with the various bargaining units, classification and compensation changes, along with the addition and deletion of positions. This update includes miscellaneous additions and deletions and classification activity already approved by the Board of Supervisors since the last salary resolution update on October 26, 2021. This new salary resolution also includes recommendations related to the California minimum wage, which increased to $15 per hour on January 1st, 2022. The total cost of implementation of the salary resolution update is $15,622 for the remainder of the fiscal year. The general fund impact is $15,622, for district attorney, sheriff, public health, and public works, and the cost will be absorbed within those budgets this fiscal year. Therefore, HR recommends that you, one, adopt the salary resolution, which reflects recommended and previously authorized classification changes and salary increases. And two, set the salary for animal shelter technician 1, central services operator 1, kennel worker, laboratory assistant 1, legal clerk 1, janitor, and park aide at range 147.5, effective December 27th, 2021, to comply with minimum wage.
Good. Thank you, Melissa. Any questions or comments for Melissa?
There's no questions or comments. Move for adoption, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Moved by Peterson, seconded by Verboen. Additional discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen, Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show the item stand approved, 5 in favor. Thank you, Melissa. The next item comes from the Health Department and an update on the COVID and other activities. Darcy, happy 2022.
Happy 2022. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Darcy Pickens, Public Health. Hope everyone had a great holiday this past week. You may recall from my last report that Omicron and the wave it appeared to be creating in other parts of the state and the country had not yet hit the Central Valley, and certainly not Kings County. On Monday, December 27th, Kings received its first report of Omicron cases in the county, which now stand at 5 cases that we know of. I want to point out that this number only reflects the number of Omicron cases identified out of the tests that were sequenced to identify variants. As of January 3rd, approximately 84% of King's samples were sequenced, so the report is a good approximation of Omicron prevalence here, but not an exact count for all cases. Cases regionally are increasing, although still not yet as rapidly as we are seeing in other parts of the state. Cases here in Kings did see a fairly dramatic spike toward the end of last week. We went from an average of 24 cases a day, December 21st through the 27th, to an average of 89 cases per day, in this past week. So 24 cases per day the week prior, 89 cases per day last week. That's an average. Not the report that I hope to give coming into 2022, but not altogether unexpected either. We do typically have an increase in cases after the holiday as people gather indoors, and some of this increase is likely attributed to that, though again, in other parts of the state, they saw an increase before the Christmas holiday, and that same increase typically comes at least a few weeks later in Kings County, so there likely is more to this increase than just the holiday gatherings, though that remains to be seen for sure. While Delta remains the dominant variant locally at this point, a surge stemming from the spread of Omicron is still being predicted. And in the Bay Area and portions of Southern California, that surge appears to already be present. While we still do not have a clear picture about the severity of disease caused by Omicron, hospital admissions in those 2 regions have seen over a 2-fold increase, sometimes a 3-fold increase in the past 7 days. Predictions for the coming weeks based on these numbers put the state well over what we saw last winter in terms of hospital admissions. As of January 4th, the local hospital had 16 patients in med-surg and 3 in the ICU. Of those admitted, 10 are Kings County residents. Since the start of this surge, 86% of hospitalized patients have been unvaccinated. That number remains unchanged at this point. Omicron does appear to be infecting the vaccinated at higher rates than other variants. Again, this is very preliminary and subject to change as the research continues. However, the vaccine does continue to offer a high level of protection against severe disease and hospitalization. The local hospital has requested 6 additional medical personnel from the state, ED and ICU nurses, and that request is still pending. Regionally, the Medical Health Operational Area Coordinators, the MOACs, and Regional Disaster Medical Health Specialists are working collectively to keep a close eye on these hospital numbers and surge capacity, working to fill requests like the one here locally and continuing with bed expansion projects in our region. Our PPE status has not changed. We still are maintaining a 60-day supply of PPE for our healthcare facilities. Last week, Public Health collected 1,533 COVID tests through our clinics. That's slightly more than the week prior, despite a limited schedule since we didn't run the mobile last week during the closure. Testing before returning to work and/or school is still highly encouraged to help limit spread. December 21st through the 27th, Public Health administered 512 vaccines, 628 vaccines last week. Again, we are strongly encouraging those who have not yet received their booster to do so when eligible. This remains our best protection against circulating variants. As of today, we have 9,106 partially vaccinated residents and 63,366 fully vaccinated residents, which is 48% of the eligible population, not including prison inmates. Our current breakthrough rate is now at 2.7%, which is increased, though still indicates that the vaccine is effective. The state has shifted health order language pertaining to healthcare workers and certain high-risk occupations to include a booster requirement for those that are eligible if weekly testing or an exemption is not in place. No new orders have been issued. This is simply an update to those existing orders to include that booster language. Yesterday, January 3rd, the FDA amended the emergency use authorization for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to expand the use of booster doses to individuals 12 to 15 years of age, shorten the time between completion of the primary Pfizer vaccination series and a booster dose to a minimum of 5 months rather than 6, and allow for a third primary series dose for immunocompromised children 5 to 11 years old. This, of course, is just the first step in that EUA process, which will now go through the CDC, state and regional bodies to make further recommendations. You may have heard also over this past week, it was a busy week, that CDC changed the recommended timeframes for isolation and quarantine. On the evening of Thursday, December 30th, the state of California via CDPH followed suit, issuing new guidelines that for most people shorten the amount of time they need to be in isolation or quarantine. On Friday, December 31st, KCDPH changed Kings County public health orders to reflect these shortened timelines. Those revised orders are now being now being issued to all new cases. If you have specific questions about this, I'd be happy to answer them, although the timelines do get fairly unique depending on symptoms and vaccination status. So we've posted that update on our website as well to give a thorough explanation of the change. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good, thank you, Darcy. Any questions for Darcy?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, go ahead.
Supervisor Peterson, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Darcy, you may or may not be able to answer the first question. When the hospital makes a request for personnel, if that is approved, is it approved for a timeline until they're not needed, or what is the timeline, one, for how long the hospital has access to them? And then secondly, we've heard across the nation that test kits are very challenging. Obviously, we're not at a position yet where we need them, but how are we and what is the access opportunities for test kits going forward?
So in response to your first question, Supervisor, when the hospital makes a request, they include a timeline for that request. And then that is either confirmed or denied by the state. That can be extended based on need. I don't know what the requested timeline was in this case. I'd be happy to get back to you with that information if you'd like, but they do include that as part of their request. And then again, just looking at an extension is typically an option in those cases. As far as testing, we are doing okay with testing kits for the PCR test locally. We have not seen any type of barriers to getting those kits as of late. The state did go through the County Office of Education to disperse some home test kits to school-age children. So the Kings County Office of Ed will be handling that process. Those tend to be the kits that are in high demand at this point and that are a little harder to obtain. Just like we saw some of the shortages when COVID first started, we're seeing those same sort of shortages with home test kits. We do expect to be getting a supply of those from the state here locally, but the number will be very limited. So we will likely use those for outbreak response, although part of what will determine that is how many we get. So that remains to be seen.
And then just to follow up, so with respect to all of the testing kits that we receive, none of it is outsourced, only comes through the state?
All of our test kits for the health department all come through the state at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you. Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the report and the update. Happy New Year. Are we testing employees upon our return coming out of the closure?
Employees are encouraged to test. They are not required to test.
Okay. And then, about 2 days ago, I read this article out of the San Francisco Chronicle, and it was one of the leading health experts on the pandemic. And the article was about, he put out statements saying that he could see the end of the pandemic from the next 6 to 8 weeks. And he based it on the fact that the population of vaccinated individuals combined with people who've already been infected and have antibodies, and with the children getting vaccines, and then the lower age group opening up for vaccination, putting that out there. And it was the first time I've seen the headline like that, especially in a publication like that. I guess between you and Mr. Hill as well. Are you guys hearing that from anybody?
So I think what I'm hearing, and Ed, please do chime in. What I'm hearing is really that Omicron, what we're seeing with Omicron is that it tends to increase extremely rapidly. The curve is almost straight up and then it comes down almost as quickly. So if that's the case, and that's what we see here, then it is possible that it will then burn out. Additional variants are likely, but again, how severe they are and how transmissible they are will be the key to what happens at that point. I'm going to steer clear from making any type of predictions about the end of the pandemic.
I'm asking.
But I would like to believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. I do think we have some rough times ahead in the next few weeks before we get there, unfortunately.
No, and I appreciate your comment. Naved has one too, but just what you just said lined up and reminded me the other major piece of the comment in that paper was because of Omicron and the data showing that it doesn't attack the lungs, that a high number of people are going to get infected and then therefore become protected by the antibodies, right? Coming out of that. But that makes sense what you just said.
That's the best case scenario, yes.
And Supervisor Valley, Mr. Chair, if you'll indulge me, what they're speaking about is hopefully an attenuation of the virus, meaning a weakening of the virus. It's what we want to see. But like Ms. Pickens, I'm not going to foster or provide any predictions. We hope that this is a sign of the weakening of the virus, and hopefully it shed some light or some end of the tunnel for this event. Only time will tell. We got to wait for the next variant to emerge, if one does emerge, and wait to see what the data shows us. But
No.
it's a hopeful sign.
All right, thank you. One more, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know this is up, probably ultimately a decision of the Board of Supervisors, but do you see any reason, and I'm only bringing this up to this beginning of the year, that at this point that the board can't just reset the chambers and get back to our original places? And I say that because I saw the pictures of the return to everyone in the legislature yesterday, the Assembly and the Senate. They're back sitting. They're sitting by their desk mates, two at a time. There's 80 Assembly members in the room on the floor and 40 senators on the floor. And if it's possible to do that, I think that's something that, I'd like for the board to discuss and get us back in our places. And I think it'd be a tighter shot, an easier shot for the YouTube, for the public to be able to see us more clearly as well versus being spread out. And then just have the honest conversation where, we've been on conference calls, health conference calls. We're hearing top officials talk about the strategy of spreading out, right? So in restaurants, remember when they said 50% of the population of the amount of tables in the room was all that was allowed. And of course, now we go in a restaurant, we're just by everybody anyways, right? And now, not speaking for everybody, but I believe most of us are vaccinated and probably boosted. And so when you talk about spreading out, and I believe the data shows now that really didn't work. All that was just another layer to try to get people to take things seriously. Meaning, if we're in a restaurant and we're spread out, or in the chambers right now, there's people masked up. Some of us aren't masked up, but these drops just circulate all around this room anyway. So, if I could infect somebody from where I'm sitting to the far back of the room right now, right? So, maybe it's time to just have that realistic conversation and see if the board is ready to get back and reset and move forward this year. I just wanted to put that out there. The end of that was, do you see any reason why that would not be a smart move?
Well, I think that like you said, that's really your determination. That's not my call to make. I give you my assessment of our situation each week. It is up to you to take action based on that. I do think that it's likely that we are at the beginning of another surge. However, we also know that there are things we can put in place to decrease risk. You mentioned some of those: vaccination, masking. The thing with physical distancing is that you're going to get fewer people in a room, which is going to decrease risk. The more people that you have crowded into this space, the more risk that will theoretically exist. But outside of that, that's really up to you and your decision.
No, thank you for hearing me out. And I would just put that over to the respect of our new chairman, if that's something you want to think about in the coming weeks. But that's something that I'd be open to, Mr. Chair. I mean, we're seeing everyone else doing it, and we're out and about, as well, and closer to people than we are here. And maybe it is time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Darcy, you have an update on seasonal flu?
I don't have a specific update on seasonal flu. We did see an uptick in flu cases over the past couple weeks. Last I checked, it wasn't quite getting to the level that we thought it might in terms of concern, but it was creeping up there. I'm not sure exactly where it stands at this point.
Yeah, thanks. And then it seems like, what's the childhood RSV?
RSV.
Yeah, seemed to take a little bit of a peak. Was that just because I was, watching it, or is it actually rising?
It has been particularly prevalent this year. Likely a combination of kids coming back into contact with each other more than ever. And then we do see these peaks and valleys with RSV seasonally, of course, but we are seeing an increase in RSV.
It seems like it was younger children, 1-2-year-olds.
Yes, it typically is. So adults can get RSV. Someone of any age can get RSV, but it tends to be worse in the youngest children and then much older adults.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments for Darcy? And I think we do have some remodel coming up in the chambers, and maybe we'll use that as a reset.
Oh, nice.
Because it doesn't seem to put a lot of effort in doing something now, and then we're going to be changing it with the remodel.
Oh, nice.
So I think that'll be coming, and so I think hopefully we'll be able to do that all at one time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So Darcy, thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
your insight.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That concludes all the business on the agenda for today. We'll now move to, Ed, do you have an update on staff effects of COVID?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, due to some vacancies and some vacations, I don't have, and returning from the break, I don't have those numbers. I will send them to you in an email this afternoon once I have those.
Okay, good. Appreciate that. Thank you. Now we'll move on to board member announcements and reports on their own. Board members make a brief announcement or report on their own activities. Supervisor Fagundes.
Well, I had a good vacation.
Did you?
And I think everybody else did too. Looking forward to next year. Can we update that a little
You
bit?
can make it go faster?
No, quicker.
Yeah. Speed it up, huh?
No, I had a good holiday and hopefully everybody else did too. And hope we have a little better future next year than been with all that. I wish everybody a good new year.
Good. Thank you. Supervisor Baboon?
I want to wish everybody a happy new year, a nice week. I'd like to have more of those. That's good, but had a good time. So welcome back, everybody.
Good. Thank you. Supervisor Peterson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as New Year starts, congratulations on Chairman, and also just wanted to say thank you to all the county staff, department heads, and the clerks who provide a valuable input to the process and how we are able to be successful in our efforts. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone as my chairmanship as of last year, and had a great New Year. New grandson, it's quite an experience. He loved the paper more than the gifts, so just watching him do that is invigorating and refreshing. And with that, look forward to 2022. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, Happy New Year to everybody. And congratulations, Supervisor Nez, on your chairmanship. That's probably a record for Kings County, and I know you're at least tied or maybe now the lead in service to counties statewide. And so congratulations to you. Congratulations, Chairman Fagundes. Together, we start our 14th year serving at the County Board of Supervisors, and seems to be going by fast. So as we head in this next year, wish the best to everybody. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Good, thank you. For me, I attended Rosie Alvarez's retirement. We had a lot of retirements over the holiday. Rosie worked for 27 years in the Human Services Agency, and certainly want to wish her well in her retirement, as well as all of the other retirees that reached that milestone. Wrapped up all my Santa appearances for 2021. Some of them went beyond Christmas because of mostly health issues regarding the families. And so we were actually still playing Santa Claus on the 27th, which was certainly not a record for me. I think I visited one time on the 30th. So, but it was a little bit longer, about 65 visits throughout mid-November to a couple of days past Christmas. And then the South Fork Kings had a special meeting yesterday in order to comply with the virtual meeting requirements, and we'll have another one tomorrow for Kings County Association of Governments. AB 361 continues to be a little bit of an issue with some of those organizations, and we continue to work through those issues. So, with that, Mr. Hill, do you have an update on events or information on and future agenda items?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's no board correspondence for today. The only upcoming event that I have is the Winter Wonderland Ice Rink in downtown Hanford continues to operate until January 9th. at the Civic Park. The schedule is Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday from noon to 10 p.m., and then Sunday noon to 8 p.m. For upcoming agenda items, admin has a Kettleman City water purchase for next week. Behavioral health has consideration for an agreement with Up Holdings and Up North Star for the development of the Kings County No Place Like Home project. The fire department has a proposed purchase of a Lincoln Ranger 225 welder. Public health, of course, has a COVID-19 update and a proposed amendment to the housing opportunities for persons with acquired immune deficiency grant. Human Services has consideration for an agreement with Central California Food Bank and an account auditor position request. Child Support Services has a license for the use of real property with the Judicial Council of California, and Public Works has a notice of completion for Senate Bill 1 funded Kings County Roadway Improvement Project, consideration of Track 756 Phase 6 and 7 agreement, consideration of an agreement with DKJ Architects for Fire Station 5 partial remodel, and consideration for consulting services with Peters Engineering Group agreement. That's all for those. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the elections department. They helped out admin by lending staff right before the closure. We were short staffed and they sent over staff to help us out, which was much appreciated.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Hill?
One, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Hill, has a check from the state, the $2 million for the Kettleman City Bridge, is that hit the county yet?
I'm unsure of that, but I can follow up and get back to you.
All right, thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing none. We will now move into closed session to take up two items. First item, Leprino versus Kings County, and the second one, O'Neill versus Kings County. And we'll report out of that in a week after that. So seeing no other action, the board will now move into closed session and then adjourn out of that to our next regular scheduled meeting on Tuesday, January 11th, 2022 at 9 a.m. With that, thank you very much, everyone.